How's everybody? Good to hear, good to hear. You know, we have an update, and I know you're getting tired of seeing me, so let's say this is the last time for about a month. Sound good? For questions, you know how to do it. You can do JKV live at johnknox.com. You can make calls at 386-456-1558 or text messages at 386-507-4236. We do, a lot of people, many of you take advantage of sending us questions in advance. I can put those into my presentation. It helps me. Sometimes there's a question that's on the edge and I need to go do a little bit of research, so it helps to be able to answer that. And we have a few of those at the end. VAL, everybody knows what VAL is, right? The Village Alert Line, we send those out when change is happening. We send updates. It's not Valerie or it's not Valentine like we had hoped it was. It's Shannon. The updates get out, and it's great that we have that system. We want to point out we also have that system for our employees. We've expanded it. We can make our groups as small or as large as we need to, based upon who we need to send a message to. And during the hurricane, we piloted it and we sent that out to our employees. Occupancy. This is where things go pretty quick. There's not a lot of change. Independent living is 81%. What's between occupied and sold, and this drives some of the board members crazy. Why, Joe, what's between occupied and sold? Well, you'll see down there are 18 deposits on units. There's 14 deposits on cottages, there's a deposit on apartment, and then there's 3 deposits on villas. So that's why we look at what's occupied and sold. We have a 10% deposit on 18 additional units, and it's just a matter of getting those residents moved in and to become part of our family. So cottages are 258 out of 299 for 87.3, but again, with 14 additional deposits, my math is wrong, it's 272, not 270. Apartments 64%, villas 70 out of 74 for 94.6 with 3 additional deposits. Valencia Landing 38 out of 60, and I'm going to answer that other question that's lingering in your mind in just 1 second with 2 additional deposits. Oakview Suites 36 out of 49, 73, and Majestic Oaks is 115 out of 120. If you recall, Majestic Oaks is a 150-bed nursing home. We've closed down during COVID to be able to consolidate staff and take advantage of the staffing and some efficiencies. We closed down 2 units. Each unit, there are 10 units at Majestic Oaks, each unit is 10 beds. So we've closed down 2 units. We did that for a number of reasons. The biggest reason is to consolidate staffing so we don't have residents we don't have 115 people spread out over 150 beds. So while we are only reporting 120, we're only reporting 120 because we do have 2 units closed. Now, there are a few things that we're looking at doing at Majestic Oaks this next year, which are going to be fun, and I want to make sure that we get somebody down to the finish line before we formally announce it, but we're looking at alternatives for Majestic Oaks. Sales and marketing. Here's some of the fun things. I thought I'd throw this in there. We started doing, a few months ago, we started doing 2 marketing events a month. Our next marketing events is a lunch and learn for potential residents. Probably many of you had attended initially to learn about John Knox Village. Next one is scheduled on September 21st. And then we have one on October 5th. And then we want to remind everybody the Fall Festival is scheduled for October 25th. It's a Friday? All right, it's the 27th. Before we post this out there, I will make sure that it gets updated. Our new sales director starts on October 9th. We were able to steal a sales director, so that means for the most part, historically, our marketing department would be full, but we added a couple of positions. Instead of having an external marketer, we call that position now a business development liaison that will work for all our business units. What are all our business units? Majestic Oaks, Oakview Suites, outpatient rehab, home health, the clinic. So every one of our business units, that person will help do external marketing and develop that business for that particular unit. We're projecting sales for September to be 6. Now, we were hoping we can get it to 7. The reason I share that is between 18 deposits that we have, and then what we have, remember I shared yesterday, we need 51 units. We need to fill 51 units. Valencia landing, I received an email this morning that Orange City has received everything and they are on their way out to go ahead and do their final inspection to make sure everything is completed. Now, everything is completed for them. It's not completed for us. We still have a number of things to do. We have vendors to work with, to work through some of the issues that we have on Valencia landing. We have turf issues that we have to address. We have a plan to address many of the mulch that is missing in many of the areas. That plan should come in the next week or so. It depends on the company coming in to do it, to address the mulch. And then the turf company has asked for the big areas where turf has to be replaced, that we wait until November when the weather cools down a little bit. Our plan is we will continue to work on those turf issues and the other issues that we have there to make that what it should be. Dining update. You all know this is pretty much, you've been living this now for a week. The big thing is Oak Tree Grill is now open 7 days a week from 8 to 7. So on Sunday evening, it is open till 7. And we hope and we anticipate that we'll be able to continue keeping the Oak Tree Grill open until 7. Now, I say that. On the other hand, if after 5 o'clock on Sunday there's no business, there's no need to really keep it open. Please use it. Take advantage of it while you can. The dishwasher project completion date is scheduled for the 20th of October. Right now I'm told they are a little bit ahead of schedule, but we're going to keep it at October 20th right now. So between the Bay Dining Room, Oak Tree Grill, and Valencia, those are all open 7 days a week. Curbside, yes, we've noticed that curbside is picked up also. The other day we had about 90 people that did curbside pickup. You know, again, the menu for Valencia consists of both Cranes and Valencia. The menu at Bay consists of Cranes and Bay. There's no take-home soups or salad bar offered at Valencia. And right now we've taken up that spot in the parking lot. That was the best place for us to do it. 1, we needed to be able to get portable power. And 2, we needed to be able to go through, and we had to go through the grease trap. Our discharge water needs to go through the grease trap, and that was the best place. That's the best place. We know it's inconvenient for some of you. It is passable. We just ask that you take your time. Water mitigation. We're working with Harris Engineering on the Holly branch. We believe a lot of our problems that had an issue on Floribunda were a result of the water that came through Holly Branch, went into that dry pond, and just went down to the bottom. There's a French drain at the bottom of that pond, and that pond drained for weeks. And that's not the way that pond was designed to work, and it shouldn't have worked that way. So what we're doing is Harris Engineering is drawing up plans to reconfigure that pond. If we have to make that pond slightly bigger to be able to handle the water. Floribunda would have probably been fine if we didn't have so much water at one time coming from so many other areas. That Holly Branch Pond didn't do what it was supposed to have done, and that's what caused us some additional headaches. In addition to that, we've talked about this last time, is Veterans Memorial. If you know where Shattuck is, if you know where housekeeping and maintenance and HR and all those are, down that road in the back. In fact, if you go to Majestic Oaks, as you're going out that front gate, there's a pond right there. On the other side of that, where you can't see, there's a nice area we can look to potentially expand our pond area, an overflow area for that. And if we can make that work, our belief is that we won't have to pump a drop of water off campus. We could pump it all on campus and take care of our needs, even during a hurricane like we had with Ian. Now, that remains to be seen. I'm not promising anything. I'm not saying that is absolutely, positively going to happen, but that's what we're investigating right now. And then we're prepared for the storms. We've been fortunate, thank you, Lord, that the storms haven't, because they've been some big storms that have been coming. Quick informational update. We have a new assisted living administrator. Her name is Amanda Tucker. She answers to Mike Buxton. Roofing contractor. We have been playing with this, and we've been waiting for legal to present our contract to the contractors. So on the roofing, that meeting is on Friday, and after that, we hope to soon after that, it won't be the next day, to be able to release a schedule of when the roofs will start to be replaced again and when that project will be done. I have asked that project to be completed by December 31st. While I can hope, realistically, I've asked that project drop dead date be January 31st. Reason being is the roofs need to be replaced before we go through another insurance renewal. This last year, our property insurance went up 24%. That's on top of the 20% it went up the year before. So, and we've talked enough about some of those stories that we've heard. Reminder, there is, I think, a few select we're offering a 10% discount on the entrance fee for a few cottages. See sales for that. I know they've sold quite a few. And then as a permanent offer, we're offering a 10% military discount that is not retroactive. It is for new sales and is only on the entrance fee, and the max on that is $40,000. The acoustics for Valencia Landing, we're working with the vendor to see how we can best deal with the noise. As you know, that one area of the dining room has got a tin roof. Well, that bangs that sound a little bit better, and it is along a glass wall. So there's not a lot of good spots to put some absorption material. So I hate to put it on the beams, but if we can figure out a good way to put it on the beams in those particular areas, we'll do that. The other area is pretty easy to take care of. That wall is flat. We can get the acoustic material in between some of the items coming out of the ceiling. So that is good, but the tin areas are the ones. And last night, the board of directors approved a Majestic Oaks renovation. And that is kind of just a decorating, if you want to call it. What we're going to do is we're going to redo the rooms with paint and carpet, and then we'll be doing the hallways. So it's to kind of give it a refresh. Majestic Oaks is 20 years old, 21 years old, and it's time it needs a refresh. So we're looking forward to doing that, and we will talk more about that in the future here. Sentrics. A few weeks ago, we thought it was just a few people, and it was a much bigger issue. And so we went back to Sentrics, and we had asked them previously to send an engineer. Why is our system not working correctly? What can you do about it? This is what we found out. There was a new node installation. There was loose connectors between the taps on the second floor and in the Citrus building. Now, what is a node? Fair enough. Everybody know what a node is? I didn't, so I had to ask. A node is, what it does is it takes the fiber signal and it converts it to the coax signal. Its only job is to take that signal that we've wired everything for fiber with and convert that to the coax signal to be able to push out. Normally, there's not no really big issues. We hadn't realized that they were not able to source the same type of node, so they replaced it when they had it go bad. Well, when they had it go bad, we asked, well, why? Because this is not something that should go bad. Well, it's a manufacturer thing. So they replaced nodes, if not the same brand. And when they did, the connections, I'm going to presume those connections were not while we were getting a signal, we were not getting a good signal. So that was what caused the massive outage. The optical receiver on the 300 wing of Oakview, that was malfunctioning and it needed replacement. That has been replaced. And then there was a software. Now, they were in a process of migrating from one data station to another. Both were up. They realized a problem, but neither took care of it. There was a miscommunication during the migration, so they flagged it, and neither one of them sent it on to somebody else who could do something, would let them know that, no, we're converting over to this data center. And so what they did, now, when you had that go down, it was my call, so I'm the one to blame. It was take a pause, send out a val, or just get it done. I made the call is just get the software update done. And that's what they did. And as you know, I believe it was on the morning of the 14th, they did another software update, and everything should have come back on. This is the actions that they've taken. The noise was isolated throughout the campus to troubleshoot each leg of the infrastructure. They were able to implement a fiber optic delivery, increasing the signal from about 10 decibels to a range of 20 to 30, so a better signal. And then they came in and balanced the entire plant. They went to the fiber huts, and they balanced the signal to make sure the signal was consistent across all legs throughout the community. Now, there is still more work that needs to be done. And this one is, the one on top is the biggest one. They call them reverse filters throughout the campus because, as you know, a TV signal is one way. So the signal to your TV is only from them to you. However, internet is a two-way signal, as is phone. So to ensure people with non-internet modem users cannot introduce noise back into the system, they're going to install reverse filters. It's a filter to hold down on the noise that's in the line, so it doesn't disturb the phone lines. They're going to replace the 7% nodes that differ. They've told me they've sourced them, and they're in the process of getting those taken care of. They'll do weekly checks, and then they've continue to work with the Network Operations Center to collect accurate information. A lot of things they can see. If your service is out, they can see it. We've checked for many of the areas that we have, we've checked the incoming signal. The incoming signal is good, but many people say, Joe, I'm supposed to get a Wi-Fi 100 megabytes and I'm only getting a Wi-Fi of 30 or 35 megabytes. Why is it so low? Well, if that's the case, then we've asked them to go back and we've asked them to please check that out, because you're telling us the signal coming in is great. So is it the modem? Is it something interfering with the signal? What might it be? Is it the issue with the reverse filter? What exactly is that issue? Now, the filter issue, I'm told that they have hundreds of reverse filters to have to put in place. Is that common? I don't know. That I don't know. But I do know that we've been watching the number of work orders that we have in regards to Sentrics, and they have, since they had their engineer come down, they balanced the system, they took some additional actions on many of the items. We've had a dramatic decline in the number of work orders that we have from Sentrics. Remember, we have hundreds of people using it. Now, I can tell you some of the time, it's you hit a button on your remote and all of a sudden it goes dead and you need help. Part of that is the first thing you might want to do is just reboot your system. And if you're not sure what to do, call maintenance, because maintenance normally can be there pretty quick. Fair enough? Now, fun stuff in regards to Sentrics. Resident committee A resident feedback subcommittee was formed to replace channels that are not being used. The committee went in all aspects of JKV. The committee has listened to residents' requests. After several meetings, what they did is they did a list of the utilization of every channel. So they looked at a lot of information. What is the most subscribed channel to? They can tell you. What is the least subscribed channel to? We could all sit here and we could take a guess, but yeah, it would be a music channel. And can they replace channels, and how many channels can they replace? Can they add channels? They're not allowed to add any more channels, but they can replace. So they're going to be sending out a survey asking for your feedback. I want to be clear about this. If you don't give feedback, you can't complain. Okay? If you need help with this, let us help you. But if you're not going to take time to give feedback, don't complain to the committee that you don't like this, you don't like the channels that were. Because I've been assured it is top vote getters get it. So, a second list where resident requests will match up to Sentrics channels that do not appear in the lineup. Hallmark movies and mysteries channels are not available through Sentrics. I want to put that because I get that all the time. I've had that request quite a few. Joe, where's the Hallmark channels? Joe, we get the Lifetime, but we're not getting the Hallmark. Why is that? So the survey is available Friday, September 22nd through the 29th, 1 week. It'll be linked and available on the portal, and you'll be notified by Val. Paper copies will be available in administration. You can choose up to 10 channels to add, but then you must also choose 10 channels that you want to remove. This is going to be labor intensive for this committee. They have worked very hard to make this happen. This is all your choice. That I've handed it over to the committee. I have no say on whether the Big Ten network stays or goes. All right? This is yours. But I would ask, if it's important to you, participate. If it's not, and you don't fill out a survey, don't complain. Because this is to give you the channels that you want. All right. Nicole's received a lot of requests about this, and so I'm going to kind of go through this. COVID vaccines. Moderna and Pfizer vaccine has been approved and is recommended for anyone over the age of 6 months. The vaccine should be available in the fall, but no dates have been released. This is the important part. Since the public health emergency is over, it's unclear whether it will be able to receive doses from our previous sources, which means we don't have any plans on offering it. So, if it's not a public health emergency, typically what happens, our sources dry up. And if you want that vaccine, you're going to probably have to find a provider that is going to give it to you. Influenza. We offer this annually. We're currently waiting for our supplies. It's not uncommon for our supply to arrive sometime around the 1st of October. So why we ordered it back in late March we ordered it. We would have expected it. There are priorities. Walgreens, CVS, Publix, doctor's offices. Why would they get it before us? Because they're ordering hundreds of thousands, if not millions of doses of the vaccine. We're ordering a few hundred. Once they arrive, we'll announce the vaccine clinic, and if you receive a flu shot elsewhere, please let us know. We document that you received your flu vaccine somewhere else. That's important because we can track that, and really, as we want to know on your record if you have received that. Pneumonia. We is John Knox Village. We is Director of Clinical Services. When you're moving from one level of care to the other, what they do is they go and they check your record. We keep records even though you're in independent living. We keep records on any health information, in particular like the COVID vaccines. John Knox, Director of Clinical Services, went and documented everything and put it in your file. So if you have questions, you don't remember what vaccine you got, whether it was Pfizer or Moderna, you don't remember what dates you got it, Nicole can go into your file, your chart, and find out what that exactly is. So we is John Knox. All right, pneumonia. This one gets a little confusing. I'm told that the answer is Prevnar 20. I'll go through this. There are new guidelines. If you are previously received Pneumovax 23 and the Prevnar 13 after the age of 65, you would be eligible for Prevnar 20 5 years. So you had an initial dose and then a 1-year dose 5 years after your last dose. If you received only Pneumovax 23, your next dose would be Prevnar 20 1 year later. If you received Prevnar 13, the next recommended dose would be Prevnar 20 or Pneumovax 23 1 year later. I am told Prevnar 13 has been removed from the market. Yes? Prevnar 13 has been removed to the market. Now, this is going to get confusing, and that even gets more confusing. How do I know? I called Nicole in my office this morning and I asked her. I looked at this doesn't tell me anything. So she summarized it, and the answer is Prevnar 20. And if you don't believe me, call Nicole. Her extension is 1022. That is the easiest thing to do. She can look it up. If you have your information, that's the easiest thing to do. Fair enough? I know I just breezed over that, but otherwise, if you start looking at this, if and then, or, and, it gets confusing. So if you have questions, read through this, ignore that. Shingles. Shingles is not a mass inoculation, but you can get a shingles shot. Please call Oak Park Clinic, and Martha can arrange that. If you haven't received the shingles, get it done. Please get it done. I've seen some horror stories with shingles. Unless you have a really good reason why, and you might, if you haven't had the shingles vaccine, please do so. RSV. Nicole says she's received a lot of questions about RSV too. Medicare does not allow RSV vaccine to be administered through massive vaccination settings like influenza and pneumonia. We have ordered to supply a RSV vaccine and continue to do so based on demand. When it arrives, you'll be contacted, and Martha at Oak Park will give you your vaccination. Fair enough? When in doubt, call Oak Park. If it's RSV or if it is shingles, call Oak Park. Everything else, if you don't know, just reach out to somebody. Nicole can help you. And if we have to send out something that's a little bit easier, a little bit more simplistic, if it's possible, and I think it is, and I think we'll do that, we will go ahead and we'll put it in the Village Weekly. Fair enough? So these next slides, if you didn't take notes or if you're even confused, we'll take that information and we'll put it in the Village Weekly. I can't guarantee it'll be this week, but it will be no later than next week. Scams. We just talked about that, and of course then somebody sent me some information. So I kind of want to read this, and it's beware of your phone. And this I'm reading it as I received it. Just got a call from a 304 area code. Thinking it was somebody they know in West Virginia, they answered it. It was a man claiming to be customer service. Didn't say what company, only customer service. The first thing he asked was, "Can you hear me?" She remembered that she saw something on Facebook saying people are calling and asking if you can hear them, and then using the recording your yes reply as a way to sign you up for all kinds of stuff. So I replied, "I hear you," to which he again asked, "So can you hear me?" "I can hear you." The customer service person said, "I just need a yes or a no." "I hear you." The customer service representative hung up. But it's so instinctive for you to say, "Yeah, I can hear you." Right? So just don't say yes. Just don't say yes. Because I just heard of some people getting scammed, their accounts getting scammed. Their bank account got scammed for about $1,700. So it's not just happening to people here and there. It happens to everybody. And it's not a question of if it happens to you, it's a question of when it happens to you. Some of you have had that happen to you. Some of you are very vigilant about checking your bank statement and your credit card statements. Excellent. I can't support that any stronger than that. Just if you didn't know, and I'm repeating myself from last month, Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax, you can lock your credit report, in which then nobody can take out any credit because they'll contact you. Don't accept phone calls from unknown numbers, because then you'll be getting that. My cell phone is the only thing I have. I don't have a home phone. It shows scam. So I don't answer it. And if it's a number I don't answer, even if it's somebody, if their name is not in my directory, I don't answer it. You can always call them back. If you do answer, don't confirm any information. And don't fall for it. "Hey, can you hear me?" Don't say yes. Don't click on unknown emails, text messages, delete them. Don't fall for the Amazon. God, those Amazon and Netflix, I think people are working full time to try to get people to scam. Your account's been canceled. Review your credit card and bank statement. Report suspicious charges on your credit card. I can't stress that. Do that right away. It's almost a standard procedure for credit card companies to shut down that credit card, that number, and send you a new credit card. Whether it's a credit card company or if it's an ATM card, they almost automatically do that now. I had that happen on my credit card, and I believe I shared this. I only use that ATM card to get cash at the bank where I bank. I don't even go to another bank. At the bank where I bank. "Oh yeah, well, somebody got into our information. Do you think maybe you should have shared that with somebody?" Never pay over the phone, and verify links prior to paying online. And you should always see that lock. If you're going to pay something online, if you don't see the lock, don't pay online. And people that are secure have secure information all over the place. Coffee with Mitch will be doing his, I believe it's next week, on pharmacy services. October is Shannon, life care. She will be reviewing your contract. There's information in your contract that either you probably don't remember or you don't ever think that you learned, and she'll be talking to you about that. It's very good. It's very detailed, and I would recommend, if it's been more than a year or two since you signed a contract, I would recommend that you come and watch your presentation. And Elvira was ill when we were doing that PERS, so we're going to reschedule her, and we'll try to get her in before the end of the year. Safety protocols, you all know this. Lock your doors at night. Whether you're there or you're not there, please lock your door. Don't leave your keys available. If there's a stranger at the door, we're getting ready to start a roofing project. Is there a possibility that you might have a stranger at your door? Yeah. I know the other thing is that some of you've got a little flyer that they were delivering in regards to gutter replacements, and a handful of other little things, doing some shrubbery. That was a local contractor that paid the post office to deliver those. Because many of you sent them to us and say, hey, what's going on? We contacted the post office and they paid the postage to have them delivered. Toss them. If you have any questions, always contact us. Contact security and let us know. Now, I'm bringing this up because we're going into flu season and there has been a nice little spike in the coronavirus. How do I know that? It's hit some of the management staff. Management staff have been out, some of them have been out for 10 days because they got hit, they hadn't got the virus before, but they were out for 10 days. And that kind of causes things to come to a halt at times. Biggest thing you can do is wash your hands. If you're feeling ill, stay home. If you're sick, don't spread the wealth. Don't share it with others. Be selfish. Keep it to yourself. Okay, and I've received a couple little questions. Giving minor gifts to employees. Kind of what is our policy? We have a policy of no gifts for employees. No cash gifts, no gifts. Frequently what will happen is somebody wants to give a token of thanks to either the housekeeper or the maintenance guy or other little things. Now, our policy is typically if you do it for one, do it for the entire department. If you're going to you want to do cookies, and some of you, thank you, by the way, I've enjoyed it. Some of you will bring a little thing of baked goods to administration, but there's enough for everybody. As long as there's enough for everybody, we're okay with that. I'm not promoting bringing all your baked goods during the holidays to me. However, we will allow, if you want to thank the housekeepers for doing that, please make sure you supply enough for all housekeepers. Now, is it possible just to kind of thank somebody? Now, I use the phrase, and I use it very, very tightly, I guess maybe very loosely, is nominal. I want to give somebody a nominal gift. I have a really good relationship with my housekeeper. I have a little ceramic cross that cost me $3. I think it's important for me to share that with her because we share Christianity as a common religion and a common belief. Can I do that? You can, as long as it's disclosed and I've approved it. Now, because what some of you might be considered nominal, I may not. Some of you have worked very hard to build relationships. One thing that we tout and that we're very proud of is our culture. Our culture between our employees and our residents and residents, and between our employees. And I do this speech at orientation for new employees. Culture starts with you. We can do everything we possibly can, but you're the ones that have helped create that culture among employees and among yourselves. And we don't want to be disrespectful, and please, it's never intended to be disrespectful if an employee says, I'm sorry, I can't take that. Cash, no matter what value, is not acceptable. You can say, Joe, it's only $1 to get a soda. No. Joe, it's only a soda. No. Now, there has to be some kind of link. There has to be something. Now, I don't want to get inundated with a bunch of requests because I have this housekeeper that I absolutely love, or I have a couple maintenance techs that I absolutely love that do a phenomenal job for me. I don't want to get inundated with that because then if what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to close that down. We're talking cookies or a drink is if you're doing it for everybody. If you're doing it for an entire department where there is nobody who is left out. Fair enough? Because when we get goodies in administration, they're not very big. They're brownies about this big. And there's enough for everybody. And that's their way of saying thanks for something that was done. You have a question about that?
I have a question. So if my housekeeper's there and I have some cookies and can give a cookie there to eat on their way out the door, or a glass of water, just want to clarify so I know.
Well, water is water. I don't have an issue with water. Cookie, I'm going to stick to my guns. You have to be enough for everybody.
How many housekeepers are there?
Oh, that's a staying question. I'm going to say 24, 26. All right, the other question I have is in regards to pendants. And is, how do the pendants work? All right, when a resident pushes a pendant, the security alert within the resident's primary location and alternate locations, the wireless access, and it triggers triggers the wireless access points that are closest to the resident. Now, there are 300 access points on campus. We call those WAPAs, wireless access points, throughout the village. The pendant is pushed, security is alerted at a primary location, and the nearest WAPAs in a triangular pattern. That could be as many as 5 alternative locations show up. The pendants are not global positioning devices, a GPS, and they don't give the exact location. Now, what we do, first thing they do, is if it shows your residence as one of the primary WAPAs that go off, guess where we go? We go to your residence. Now, if all those WAPAs in that particular area go off, we're going to go to your primary residence. Why would we do that? 80% of the pendant pushes are a result of people pushing a pendant being in their own unit. Make sense? We don't know that if you could be down the hall in the neighbors, but it's not going to show us exactly where you are. It's going to show us the WAPAs. Now, if the primary location is on South Lake and alternative locations are in the same area as the primary location, security will respond to the home first. If the resident is not there, they will respond to alternative locations. There could be 4 to 5 of those alternative locations that come up. If the primary location is on South Lake and the alternative locations are on Floribunda, we'll respond to the alternative location first, which is Floribunda. Does that make sense? Because the alternative location has nothing to do with the residents, and there's reason to believe they're not home. They might be at a neighbor's. So if the WAPAs are different than the primary location, in the event a resident pushes their pendant and they're not home, they should contact security and give the exact location if they're able to do so. If they feel it's life-threatening, please call 911. So, you should fall, hit your head. I'm going to tell you, the fact that you hit your head, you need to go out and get checked. No matter how strong you feel, no, I'm okay, just a small bump, you should go get checked. Now, the other thing about it is we ask, if you have somebody who falls right in front of you, don't pick them up. You have no reason. It might be obvious to you the reason that they fell, but it's not uncommon for somebody to fall as a result of a fracture. They have brittle bones, and they turned the wrong way, the bone broke, and they fell. And now you're trying to lift them, and you're only doing damage. Wait for security, wait for a nurse, wait for paramedics in that particular case. Don't pick someone up. While you've been doing it, and it's all been okay, it's going to be the one time that you do it in the near future, and it's not. Please don't pick your neighbor up. We know what goes on. We know what happens. Hey, can you help me get up? I've kind of fallen in the bathroom or I've fallen in my living room, I'm okay. The famous last words, I'm okay, until you get them up and then they're hurt. So in regards to the pendants, just to kind of summarize, if it's life-threatening, no matter what, if you're able, dial 911. If you have an open gash that's bleeding profusely, you're going to need medical attention, dial 911. If you have chest pain, dial 911. If you've hit your head, dial 911. Hit your pendant, and if you have somebody with them, and any of those happen, be the good neighbor, don't pick them up, dial 911. Fair enough? So while the pendant system works, and it works well, again, it's not a global positioning device that's going to tell us exactly that you're in apartment 303 Citrus. It won't tell us that. We'll know your address is 303, and if the wampas in that area go off, that's the first place that we'll check. But you could be next door in your neighbors and playing cards and accidentally hit your pendant. And we've had that happen. Somebody has gone to see a friend to play cards in Holly Branch, and their address is somewhere else, and so now we're out looking for somebody. And eventually somebody saw somebody and they were able to let us know where they're at. Fair enough? All right, other questions? Yes, sir.
It's a question on the valve system. My name is Ken Wintmuth, and I live up on 155 East Lake Drive. I get the valve notifications. My wife does not. It's good if we're together, but there are times we are separated. And I just wanted to know what your standard practice is, because should both of us be getting it, or is just the one?
Whatever numbers you give us, if you want your wife to start getting it.
It depends on the phone numbers. So if your landline is, if you have a landline, and do you both have individual cell phones? Okay, I will check on that when I get back to the office, because your cell phone should be listed and her cell phone should be listed, and it's going to ring independently. If you have a shared number, it's going to dial to your priority one phone, which may be, in some cases, a landline phone. If you answer and pick up, then it won't dial your cell phone, but I will check when I get back to the office to see why it's not ringing independently. Mm-hmm. And we set priorities. So if somebody wants their cell phone to be rung prior to their landline, I can do that.
Good morning. Thanks for being here. I'm Norm Stewart. Got a question. I frequently work out at Valencia. Beautiful place, beautiful facilities. Gets pretty boring on a treadmill sometimes. I can't watch news anymore. Why? And I have a follow-up question.
Okay, that one is, we've kind of struggled with that, and until we get we soon will have the ability to change the channels on all those TVs to be independent. Right now, until we implement the head end that we have sitting out there, and we remember we've talked about this, and you've taken a survey, all those channels are categorized as one, so they all get the same channel. Whether if it's a news channel, if it's CNN, all of them will get CNN. So to stay away from some of the controversy, what we've done is we've picked channels like the Food Network, or we've picked something else. So I have a meeting with Sentrics early next week for them to give me a time frame when I get those all changed.
I'm not for Sentrics. I'm a Spectrum guy, and they pulled my whole TV connection out when they installed Sentrics. And I had to have Spectrum come out and redo it from the box all the way to my apartment. Next question, follow-up. If it's controversial, what if an atheist comes to you, Joe, and says, I don't like the chimes at noon and 4?
Okay.
What happens?
You're entitled to your opinion.
Well, how about my news opinion?
Well,
I'm not entitled to that?
sure. However, what I'm going to ask you to do is share that opinion with resident council and see if there are other people that feel that same way. Because a lot of things and a lot of decisions I make, I try to be as democratic as I possibly can. And I try to kind of majority rules. If we get at John Knox Village of Central Florida, in and of its name is a Presbyterian minister in the 16th century, if I have 700 residents come to me and say, Joe, I don't like the chimes, and we want to be able to do something about it, I'm happy to do something about it.
How many came for the news?
Huh?
How many people came for the news?
Probably about 5.
There's probably 150 who do want the news. So you're letting the minority rule. That's not right.
No. Let
yeah.
me be clear. Let me be clear. The issue isn't choice. The issue being is that there's a lack of options on our part for people to be able to take advantage of whatever they want to watch. There are some people that are in there. You might have 4 people in there that don't want to watch Fox News. You might want to watch Fox News. So at that particular time, do I let you overrule those 4 people?
No, but you let the 1 or 2 overrule the 4 or 5 people who want Fox News or CNN or whatever news.
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding. Which I'm happy to talk with you offline about it.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions that I can answer?
Do you have a timeline for the craft room? Because we thought it was going to be open last year.
Yes, we did too. I don't. And in fact, I reached out to try to see if I could get a date before I came to this, and I did not get a date. I know there are some things that are on order and some work that is scheduled, but I don't have dates of when that work is to be done yet. Yes, sir.
Joe, my name is Herb Gardner. I live at 17B Floribunda. I lived there about 3 years, and over 6 months ago, we lost a bench at the corner of Floribunda and Eucalyptus. In the meantime, I've noticed that coming in from the front gate, there are 6 new benches between the front gate and the Barker Center. Coming over here, I've noticed that 2 new benches have been placed on
Trafford?
No, on the way over here. I forgot what street it is.
Okay.
But at any rate, we have never gotten a new bench. We've been missing that bench for about 6 months. Is there a plan to replace that bench? If not, why?
I'm not sure what happened to the bench, but I will find out and we'll get you a bench.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Good morning. The information that you provided us about the pendants and the falls, I think is, well, for me it was a bit of a new news, but I was wondering if we might put together a blurb and put it in the weekly so that it gets a wider dissemination than just the people here and who happen to catch it on Knox TV.
Agree. That's a great idea.
It's going to be a healthcare hint.
Okay.
Why is the Hallmark Mystery Channel not an option?
It is. It's not. I don't know why it isn't. I know there's some channels that are on there that really surprise me. Like, who cares about the Big Ten Network? Couple of people. Yeah, but you care, but do you really watch it? So, now if I asked about the SEC, who likes the SEC network? Yeah, I mean, So I honestly don't have a really good answer for that. I don't know why that's not included. It's just not. Okay? Yes, ma'am. All right, you're welcome. You want to repeat what you said?
I want to thank everybody that had anything to do with fixing the hole on South Camellia Court.
Okay. The whole. All right. All right, one more question.
I'm coming. Get my steps in this morning.
Well, it's not really a question, Joe, but I just want to thank you for your view on giving employees gifts and so on. Coming from a third world country, having grown up in a third world country, I can tell you that there's nothing that will destroy culture, the culture of a country or of a society, more than this kind of underhand gift giving that is not necessary. It will destroy the entire social structure, and it has done that in the country that I came from. And I appreciate you sticking to your principle on that. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Morning.
Boy, am I glad I retired. Not really. You're doing a great job up there, Joe.
Thank you.
Question on Valencia Landing. We're at 60 in inventory right now because we don't have the last CO. Is that correct?
Repeat your question.
Valencia Landing,
We're at
the
60.
total inventory, you had, I think, 38 out of 60 at this point. And you also mentioned that the last or the final CO is coming soon.
Right.
That'll put us at 68 when that happens.
Correct.
And we have 2 on deposit. And when they move in, that'll be 40 out of 68. Are those correct numbers? That's all I wanted. I was a little confused.
Okay.
That's okay.
All right. Thank you very much for your time. You take care and have a good day.